all honesty, I haven't been doing too hot lately. But what I have been doing is playing Dark Souls 3, and I'm torn. On the one hand, Dark Souls 1 of my favorite games of all time. One of the best games of all time, as most anybody, will tell you. Dark Souls 3? It's alright. It's beautiful. Graphics? Amazing. Production value? Higher. And as a precursor to Elden Ring, I find it underwhelming after completing that and the Shadow of the Erdtree DLC. Dark Souls 3 has the same basic baseline of movesets and some boss mechanics, but it's not remotely similar in how it feels to experience. And makes sense. The anti-aliasing bugs me. How it doesn't work. Small complaint, but it bugs me. Relative to the first in the series, and I haven't played the second, but relative to the first in the series, it's a regression from the interconnected world. And people will hype up the interconnected world. But the interconnected world did one thing, which was more important than one might realize, is that it made things cohesive. It provided verisimilitude for the experience. For the entirety of the experience, from start to finish, it was an uninterrupted journey outside of death. Dark Souls 3 has the same verisimilitude, but because it's not interconnected, because you can only go from one section to another, there isn't this, it doesn't feel as real, I think. It doesn't have that stratospheric experience of worlds or places stacked on top of each other. Half-Life 2, or even the first Half-Life games, have this sense of naturalism as well, where it's a progression, all tied together into a cohesive whole. Say, well, why aren't you complaining about Half-Life 2 not having an interconnected world? And I am. But also, that's not the point of those games. Dark Souls 1 did an incredible thing with its immersive and interconnected world. Dark Souls 3, it's graphically impressive. It plays nice, but I don't think it plays as well as Dark Souls 1. They've upped the pace, but not enough to where it's an entirely new thing. It sits right on that borderline, that edge between the slow and deliberate, turn-based, almost, gameplay of the first and second game, but that has not yet committed fully to the fluidity that comes with Elden Ring and the Shadow of the Erdtree. Just the other night, after getting most of the way through this over the past couple of days, I went and did a level 1 Margit run. And it was fun. It was compelling. There was something, even though those bosses are technically harder and more difficult to learn, they're more interesting. And I think that has to do with, I don't know how to describe it, but the first boss of Elden Ring is better than any boss I've fought in this. I find that disappointing. To play the first one, think it great, go play the second one, think it awful, and give up and return it, which is something I've regressed on, but still haven't gotten around to playing. And then I bought it again. I returned Scholar of the First Sin and bought the original. And then got this, and it's been disappointing so far. I'm just starting the DLC. I find it annoyingly difficult, but not in the same way as Elden Ring's DLC was difficult. Elden Ring's DLC was forcefully difficult. I didn't want to run past all the enemies. Here, I just want to run past all the enemies and get to the next boss. It's like, why bother? Just gonna die to some bullshit in the next 30, next 2 minutes, and I'll be back to Bonfire. So, and lose all my souls, and it's just gonna be a pain to go back and run and get them. So just keep running to the next Bonfire. I don't care about this. The level design is good in places. The Cathedral of the Deep, great level. Ithriel I found disappointing. Why am I disappointed by this? One of the best games ever, a follow-up to a better game, but it's not. Maybe that's why I'm disappointed.